in northern Israel, where I am. And this video is just about content creation. And it is to remind you that content creators create content that makes you content. At least that's the aim of content creators to some degree. That's part of their aim, right? Part of the point of being a content creator is to make content that makes people happy or satisfied in some way. Some content creators, of course, use other methods for creating content, like to anger people, right? It's frankly a lot easier to make content that irritates people or angers them. And it's a lot easier to get people to respond to things that they disagree with and that they don't like, and to leave a comment and share and all that stuff. Partly because it is very easy to feed on negative emotions and feedback loops. Much easier than it is actually to feed and create and populate positive feedback loops. Part of the reason for that is we are programmed as people in societies on fear and anger and negativity. We are programmed that way by the systems we live in, right? Civilization, having come from pre-civilization, where people used to literally have to avoid being eaten by things like tigers or whatever, bears, whatever it might be, wolves, doesn't matter. Wild animals were a threat to mankind for hundreds of thousands of years, until we started to evolve our civilizations, develop our civilizations, right? First, little cave dwelling people, and then eventually tribes, whether nomadic tribes in most cases, and then stationary tribes, and then villages, and then towns, and then cities, and then states, and then nations, nation states, countries, federations, and on and so forth, unions and what have you, right? Kingdoms, empires, democracies, whatever. And throughout all that time, not only making war with each other, but the original primal fear of being unalived by wild animals has played a significant part in the development of the human brain, emotions, and psychology, and our responses to these things. And that's why it's easier to feed into negative narratives than to positive ones. That's why it's easier for artists to make evil looking art than beautiful, good art, as opposed to evil art. I don't mean that the evil art isn't good quality. It may be exceptionally high quality. But if the theme or the topic or the subject of the art is in any way evil, it's much easier to grab the attention of people that way than with good. Right? People think of good as, oh, that's how things should be. But also they think, yeah, that's boring. Now, not everybody thinks that. I think good is wonderful and powerful and amazing. But most people just don't have that view for whatever reason. Oh, look at this beautiful Burmese dog. Amazing. Hey, doggo. Yeah, you're a good boy. It's an amazing Burmese mountain dog I just walked by. Yeah, so that's why today, with multimedia everywhere, with social media platforms like YouTube or TikTok or Instagram or whatever, you see very bipolar or very polarized content niches, especially on channels that are popular, quote unquote. meaning they have a lot of followers or subscribers or whatever you call them. Right? The channels that are the most popular tend to be channels that either do outrageous content, whether it's good or bad, or they have very strong general appeal content, whether good or bad. And the more extreme they can be in their goodness or their badness, the more popular they tend to be, at least in their perceived goodness or badness. Right? When I say badness, I mean like leaning towards evil, not bad quality. However, there's also a niche for making poor quality or bad quality content that is very popular. Right? There are, in fact, tons of quote-unquote viral videos and viral channels or very popular channels that have extremely low quality content, and that is the entire point of the channel. There's a bunch of those channels, right? The Utes like those channels. The Utes. Utes. What the hell's a Ute? Youths, Your Honor. If you know, you know. Yeah, so why am I making this video about content creators create content to make you content? And then I'm focusing a lot on the negative side of the content more than the positive. Well, again, like I said at the beginning of the content of this video, they really do both, right? Yes, for many video makers, the idea is to make positive content that will drive up, and create a positive audience and all that stuff. But what happens a lot of the time is people may start out that way and then end up on the other side of the fence where their content is largely focused on negative things. Take, for example, Mr. Beast, whose videos started out as just some little kid making videos about his playing video games or doing silly things like counting to 100,000 without stopping or whatever, to giving away money to poor people, which eventually became an entire niche industry in and of itself, doing charity on camera for the benefit of the channel, of course, while pretending it's not, making people basically appreciate a donation, right, on camera, which is really sick if you think. I mean, it's nice. Yes, you're helping some person, maybe. But it's also kind of sick to do it again and again and again and again for the clicks and the views. And you can argue, yes, but you couldn't do it more than, maybe once or twice unless you had a lot of money. It's easier to do it when you have a lot of views and a lot of clicks. It generates the money, etc. Yes, that's true. But again, it's a type of content which, while it starts out maybe with noblesse or noble ambitions, can easily get turned into something not so great, as arguably it has been done by many other channels who've also done this kind of content. And then now look at the latest things happening in the Mr. Beast world over the past, 6 months or a year or whatever it's been, with accusations flying back and forth of bad things happening in his organization, to the type of videos he makes now, some of which are, again, philanthropical and intended to help people. But do they really? And probably they do. For the most part, I would say a lot of the things he's done that are good are actually very good things. They are, in fact, to help people. And you can also argue that that type of philanthropy is intended to polish up somebody's public relations image, while it helps make people be distracted from the not so great things they may be doing. That's arguable. I don't know if it's necessarily the case in his case. I'm just pointing out that that is a thing that is done a lot by people who have a lot of means. They use philanthropy to distract from the bad things that they've done in other ways. That's a very common and very old practice, right? It dates back thousands of years to many, many very wealthy and powerful people. And then, of course, there are these beast games things where people are basically competing for money, right? Very large sums of money. And honestly, my initial reaction to that after seeing some of the content of that is, well, some of the people are showing that there's more to them than just money. But even those that need the money and take it for the arts, there's nothing wrong with that. But the concept of making people compete in these ways, in some pretty twisted ways, says a lot about content creators shifting towards the negative. Anyway, that's it for now. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace. Bye.